What's up, everybody? I'm back with another episode of the Keep Going podcast. Today's guest is Cody Troutman. He's a successful comedian from here in Oklahoma City. He's the host and creator of the show Comedic Confessions, the winner of the 2025 Othello's Comedy Classic, a man that's been in multiple comedy festivals and worked with some huge names in the comedy scene from across the nation. What stood out to me was his attention to detail. He's recorded all his sets from the very beginning and keeps journal logs about what he could do better, what did well, the areas of improvement. And I just think that ability to break down your craft and always look for ways to be better is something that can translate to so many different walks of life. We get to dive into what his writing process is like, how the journey has been, what it's like when you're bombing, what it's like when you're doing great, and just the reason he got into comedy to begin with. At the end, he asked me some great questions as well that gave me the ability to think deeper and really analyze what I do in my business. I enjoyed this episode a lot. Cody, you have a lot of great energy, and I wish you nothing but success. I hope you all enjoy this episode. As always, keep going. I appreciate you, bro.
Dude, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm happy that Sydney referred you, but to have such great energy as soon as you walk in, I'm pretty excited for today.
Me as well. This feels like a business meeting already because it's like we're on opposite sides of the table. It's like a nice office. We have real estate figures on the whiteboard. So I feel like I'm about to
pause on the podcast. We're going to a business meeting.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. It's a compliment, and as much fun as I like to have, I want it to be a great experience and professional in a sense. So it's been a beautiful journey to be on, but I'm excited to learn about you today.
Yeah.
So if you could tell me a little bit about kind of where you're from and then what led you up to comedy, I think that would be most ideal for me so I can get an understanding.
Let's see. What led me to comedy? It's kind of a long story. I'll keep it fairly brief, but I always wanted to be fun. I guess what attracted me to comedy was when I was growing up, everybody wants to be cool. Maybe not everybody. I definitely did.
Yeah.
And you want what you can't have. I was not cool. And I have more of an analytical brain. So I was like, okay, how are kids that are cool, how are they doing it? I saw kind of a few major ways. You could be rich. You could be attractive. You could wear cool clothes. You could be good at sports, or you could be funny. Mm-hmm. And the top four seemed a little out of your control. You're a kid. You can't really determine if you're rich. What clothes you wear is a little bit determined by money and fashion trends. Good at sports, you can kind of control a little bit, but at that age, everybody's growing at different rates. You don't even know what sport you're supposed to do. You don't know what your natural abilities are. But it just seemed like those were kind of shifting scales. But the common denominator I saw was that if you were funny, people liked you.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if they were poor or they dressed bad or they sucked at sports. If you were funny, you were kind of what everybody gravitated towards and wanted to be around. The jocks wanted a funny guy at their party to help them talk to girls. The rich kids needed a funny guy to help them fit in with other people. Everybody wanted a funny person. So I was like, man, being funny is awesome.
Yeah.
I tried really hard, but I wasn't that funny.
Were you bad in class then? Were you that type of funny, or were you just
funny? I wasn't funny. That's the thing, is I had this envy of kids that were funny because I wasn't. Mm-hmm. I was a really good student, really well behaved, but I had this fascination with people that were funny. But I played golf. And I didn't start until I was 13. I had some injury stuff, but I started, and then in high school took it really serious. That's what I went to college for. Got really good in college, turned professional, played professional, and I was just really focused on that. And so, but I had this fascination with being funny and entertaining. But at that point, you're just hitting a ball. It doesn't matter if you're funny when you play golf. They don't give you extra shots. And so
I wish they did. Yeah. Maybe I would be better because I'm not that good.
Well, I had a career-ending injury. Oh. So then after that, moved back home, and I was like, I got to figure out what to do with my life. Because before that, my passion and my job were the same thing. And then all of a sudden, now both are gone. So I had to find a job. So I worked a couple of different jobs.
How old are you at this point?
At this point, I was 25 and 26, right in there. So this was like 4 or 5 years ago. This was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Congrats on becoming a professional athlete, though. That's amazing.
In golf, it is a little easier than other sports.
Yeah, but I do the same thing you do where I diminish it. So something me and one of my friends have been trying to help, and he's in his 50s, so he's really helped me on it. We try to just accept the compliments.
Yeah, that's...
Because it is an accomplishment, and I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, why are you minimizing it? It's like, But if it's not to you, it's fine, but I just say that from a place of grace.
Yeah, well, that's a very kind compliment. There are guys that are like legit pros that are playing on the PGA Tour, and me, there's a huge gap.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't want to diminish what they're doing.
Oh, I understand.
But I was technically a professional.
Yeah.
And then, after that, I was working different jobs, and I was like, what am I passionate about? I don't even know. I was like, but I want to be funny. So I started making YouTube videos. Those sucked. Started
like
a
shorts
podcast.
Or long ones? Or
long form. Shorts didn't even exist at this point.
Right.
So I just I thought David Dobrik was hilarious and made great vlogs. So I tried to make vlogs. They were terrible. And then tried to start a podcast. That sucked because I wasn't funny, and then I was like, I gotta get funny. So I would try to watch videos on how to be funny, and I took an improv class, and I kind of sucked at that. So then I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to write a joke that I need to go to the purest form. I got to go try stand up. So I tried it for the first time. It was terrible, but I knew from golf, you never are good when you start. I mean, then some people are, but the exception kind of proves the rule because it's always notable if somebody's good when they start, which proves that the majority are not. So I was like, okay, I know if you do it once, you get nothing out of it. I made a promise to myself, I have to do it 50 times. Once I do 50, then I've either maybe learned a little bit and I can pivot to take this knowledge, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just wanted to, honestly, I kind of wanted to make better YouTube videos. So I do stand up 50 times. And by then...
And what amount of time did you do the 50? Because that's a lot of reps.
Probably took me 3 months.
See, that's impressive. And the attention to detail up front, though. To be like, hey, I'm going to try this for a sample size. Because a lot of people do what you're saying and be like, 2 times, it didn't work. It's not for me.
Well, I mean, the highest level comedians, they're doing multiple spots a night. So it took me a little bit. Well, no, it probably took me, I'm trying to think, because I was probably doing it 2 or 3. Man, when did I start ramping it up? It took me between, let's call it 2 and 5 months, because I have a hard time remembering exact, but I remember it was definitely less than 6 months because I know the date I started, and I know when I had the little meeting with myself about all right, you've done it 50 times, so I stopped doing it for a couple weeks, and I remember that, and it was in April of 2022 because I started it November 21st, 2021, and then I was like, all right, am I going to keep doing this? I was like, well, I'm still bad at it, but I'm not as bad. And it was fun to be expressive and try to be funny. Because in social situations, sometimes you don't know if it's the right time to try to be funny. And I'm better with structure. I was like, listen, I may not be good at this thing, but at least I know the goal. So the goal is to try to be funny. And you're the one with the microphone. You get this many minutes to try your best. So I was like, let me try that. So that was in 2022. Fast forward to now. It's now not my full-time job yet, but I make enough where it is a significant portion and we're trying to move in that direction. And now I think last night was set number 1,306 and 1,307.
Holy shit.
So we've now it's fully, so that's now amazing. I'm doing between 6 and 8 spots a week and really grinding and trying to make it the career.
That is so cool, man.
So that's kind of how I got into it, and then...
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
On the first time you went up, leading up to it, did you go somewhere by yourself? Did you have friends? Were you nervous? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I just went by myself. I went and watched a few times first just to kind of see, what is the logistical process? How do you get on the list? What are the do's and don'ts to respect what people are doing? And so I just went by myself. I didn't even tell anybody I was doing it. I was just I'm just going to do this. I need to, figure out how to do this. I was nervous. I was definitely nervous, but I guess the word is just kind of it felt a little surreal. I was like, I guess I'm going to try. I didn't even know how to write a joke. I just went up there and monologue for 5 minutes. It was horrible.
I think the first time was 5 minutes though?
Yeah, 'cause it was at like on some of the like really shitty mics that nobody goes to, you get like a little longer. So you get like 5 minutes,
You can
sometimes
try.
6. Yeah, which is a horrible
5
idea.
minutes probably felt so long.
Yeah, it sometimes it feels really long, sometimes it feels really short, depending on how bad or good you're doing. But I mean, I did terrible.
So you were like, it was just crickets? Were they booing, or were they just not following the jokes?
It starts as crickets, and then when you know you're really bombing is when they stop paying attention and start talking to each other. So it starts at silence, and then it goes to like you're trying to like talk over crowd noise. That's how you know you're doing really bad.
And I bet it's so hard to not break at that point and just give up.
Yeah, I mean, I
Not
guess
now, but
so.
early it has to be, because you're just seeing people talk while you're trying to do your thing, or you're so new you don't really care, but it just seems like that would be difficult.
Yeah, I guess in a way it can be. It was, I mean, for me, it was just like I always appreciate honest feedback, because it's easier to work with. So it's like, okay, I'm clearly terrible at this. It's like, okay, at least we know where we stand. That's why I liked golf a lot as well. In team sports, sometimes it can be hard to figure out, who's responsible for what. But in golf, especially like at the higher levels, your coaches are they kind of like work for you a little bit, especially as a professional. When you want them to work on something, you set up something with them. You're doing your own thing. So I think in stand-up is very similar. Like you make your own hours, you decide how much time you put into each piece of the craft. And so I liked that. So I liked at first I was like, they're paying attention, they're not laughing. I must not be doing good. Then when they stopped paying attention, I was like, wow, I didn't even like the bar you want to clear is laughter. The floor bar you got to clear is like, it has to be captivated enough to at least listen to. Because I think that some people, they'll get up there and if it's like silent the whole time, that is really hard to deal with. But it's like, well, they are listening to you. So you're not as far off as you think. But if you get up there and people are like talking or walking out, that's where I was.
That's below the line.
Yeah, that's really bad.
So after the 50 and you're like analyzing the data to be like, am I going to do this or not? What was the determining factor that made you decide, yeah, I'm going to do it? And then now you're 1,000 more past that.
I saw that I had improved. I didn't know enough to know like exactly why I had improved, but I could tell. I was like, okay, sometimes I am getting people to laugh. When I'm talking, people are watching and paying attention. And I felt like when something I did from the very beginning. So like I have a hard drive. Every single set I've ever done, number 1 through, I just put in 1306 and 1307 last night. I videotape them and I review them. So it's like I could watch that back and watch professional stand-up, and you can clearly see like how horrible you are, but you have a target to shoot for. It's like, oh, I may not know how to write the most advanced joke, but you can't just walk around and look at the ground the whole time. You got to take the mic out of the stand. You have to have a certain level of presence and bravado, if you will. You have to like speak with a certain rhythm.
A little ownership up there.
Yeah, you can't just monologue it the whole time. You got to demand attention. You can't politely ask for it. So it's like things like that.
The filming is so huge because
Yeah.
I think it was Damon Wayans recorded all his or something. I heard it on a podcast one time, and that film is so important. You probably got that a little bit from your past too with golf, like knowing, because I mean your swing and all those things, and then the analytics because you have the par and all the scores.
Yeah.
But on the thing I like about filming it for the comedy is you could see gradual improvement, even though like your first thought is going to be how terrible it is, because obviously if you're recording it, if you hear some of my recorded sales calls from my early real estate days, whoo, they would be embarrassing. And when I see videos pop up from 7-8 years ago and I hear it, I'm like, holy crap, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But it does show you like growth. So you were probably seeing some stuff that stood out where you're like, that's improvement. And comparing in a good way is healthy too.
Yeah. I think I saw a couple things early on where I was like, oh, like I have energy up there. I didn't know what to do with it, but I had a lot of energy. It was being improperly utilized, but it was better than nothing. And I was like, okay, if I can figure out how to direct this energy, use it, control it, that's one thing. Because I think like the basic tenets are kind of, you have your joke writing and your delivery is kind of your, those can be broken down. But I was like, okay, joke writing on a scale of 0 to 100, I'm a 0. Delivery, presence, stage presence, whatever, on a scale of 0 to 100, I'm like a 15, so it's like we're not at 0 we have something there we can work with. So then, I mean, you just have no clue what you're doing. You're just like trying to be this like vague thing that is funny. And then you accidentally make somebody laugh a couple times. And then when you watch it back, you're kind of like, what about that was funny? And then you can kind of reverse engineer like, oh, that's how you write a joke, you know? So that, I think that was the first 50 are just kind of more about getting comfortable doing it where you don't black out every time and you remember what happened.
Yeah, because I bet a lot of people that don't film, they can almost not remember what worked, what didn't work.
Oh,
or they'll have like one joke that works, but they don't know why it worked, like you're saying.
1,000%.
That's like treating it like a hobby versus a career, right?
Oh, yeah, dude. Like the people that, you know, and it's, everybody has their own, what they want out of it. Mm-hmm. But if I hear somebody that's like, yeah, I just do it for a hobby, it's really fun. I'm like, dude, good for you. Sign up, get up there, do your thing. You don't have to even say a joke. If you get 5 minutes, you can do whatever the hell you want for 5 minutes. But when people are like talking about it like they want to make it a career, especially bitching about not getting booked, that's all you hear at all these open mics and shows. Like, why am I not getting booked on this? Why didn't I get to, why is this person getting a spot? But then they're not recording their sets. They're not doing that many spots. They don't have any type of professionalism. They're late. They're drunk. I'm like, we have nothing in common. We have nothing to talk about.
The difference or the gap is so huge.
Yeah. And some of these people are better than me. I'm not saying I'm better than all of them, but I'm saying in terms of, I just have a hard time listening to a lot of the complaints when they're, one of my favorite quotes is from a guy named Charlie Munger, who was Warren Buffett's partner at Berkshire Hathaway for a long time. It's a big investment firm. And he said, to get what you want, you must deserve what you want. So, listen, a lot of luck involved in everything, but I'm not going to complain about not getting something that I'm after if I don't feel like I deserve it or I didn't put in, like right now, of course, I would love to have a Netflix special. That'd be awesome. I don't deserve that. I'm not good enough. I haven't put in the years. I don't understand the craft to that level. But, I think people that aren't recording their sets, to circle back to what you were saying, it's like, you'll see somebody work on a new joke and it will really crush. And you're like, dude, that bit is really nice. And the next week you'll see them do it again and it's bombing. They have no idea why. It's like, well, you're doing it different.
And if you had that film, you can be like, well, I liked it. I'm glad that it popped, but let me make it better. And then if you're just going from memory, you may slip on something that did help it.
Oftentimes it gets worse. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, because you're saying it at a different cadence. You don't know which filler word you added or took out. You don't know how you set it up, the physicality, the pause, what facial expression you had, what jokes came before or after. Like, you gotta know all that stuff to know, like, why something works.
Yeah.
But if you're just up there dicking around, you're never gonna have a clue. You're just like going up there, spinning the roulette wheel and seeing what happens.
And you're like, Tuesday was good, Thursday was terrible. Yeah. I'll see you next Monday.
Yeah. Especially people like, ooh, tight crowd tonight. I'm like, ooh, dumbass tonight, like, wow.
How do you stay focused and not because I know even though you're a successful comedian, there had to be, you do some jokes, whatever. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. But even with the reps you put in, I'll keep it light for how you like to receive information. Yeah. But how do you not let it get in your head if something isn't working? Because it is a lot of working stuff out. Even people that you're talking about that do have Netflix specials and all they say, they go somewhere and they're working out and it doesn't laugh. Yeah. Or they don't laugh, I mean. Yeah. So do you just understand that that's part of the process and you're just like, hey, I'm just working it out till it does work or I trash it or what?
You mean how do you handle it emotionally or how do you handle it process-wise?
Let's start with emotionally while you're on the stage to not like crash.
While you're on the stage. Okay.
Yeah, and then after I would like the process side because I know how, with your analytical brain that you would be fixing it.
I would say emotionally handling it on stage versus off stage is two totally different things. Okay. When you are off stage, I'll start with on stage. When you're on stage, if it's not going good, you still have to do your job. You can't berate the audience unless it's for like a comedic purpose. But you can't give up. You can't phone it in. You can't beat yourself up. Like, you have to do your job. You're still the one performing, so you still have to try your best to make it work. Now, sometimes that can mean abandoning a joke, pivoting to a tried and true one. A very easy thing to do is calling attention to the fact that it's not working. It's like, well, that wasn't very funny. Usually because the longer you go without getting a laugh, I mean, a punchline is all about like tension and release. When a laugh isn't coming and the audience can sense you're really working, tension is building. So if you give it a release valve by saying like, well, that sucked, the audience understand, oh, he's present, he's with us, he's not delusional thinking this is funny. So that can buy you a lifeline. Like, you have to really do your job. You can't dwell on the fact and sit there and be like, this isn't working, I'm not cut out for this, I fucking suck, But as soon as you get off stage, yeah, I mean, I would say I dwell on those thoughts a lot. I'm like, God, like, this is fucking impossible. I'm not funny, I can't write a joke. You just have to watch the tape and decide, like, is that joke worth saving? Do I scrap it? What can I do from here? So I think when you're on stage, you got to do your job and just try to be funny. It's being present, I would say, is like the biggest thing you can do if it's going bad.
Yeah, that sounded really impactful, to just like let them know that you're not delusional.
You have to be present. A lot of comics talk about like being in the room or being where your feet are, because the audience, they're not like crazy. They know why they're there. They're there to see somebody tell jokes. So if you're not executing that, they know. They know how long it's been since they laughed. So you got to say something. Now everybody has their own strategies. Some people get really comfortable in that silence, and then when they get to a joke that finally hits, it's like, whoo, we're back on track. The audience feels that relief. And you can show confidence. You have to be in control. Like the way I describe it to like comics, because I would say that my strength at my level, there's a lot of levels above me. At my level, my strength is my stage presence and my command of the room. And a lot of, comics, we ask each other for advice. If they'll ask me about stage presence stuff, they're like, what's your mindset? What do you do? I said, when you're on stage and you have the microphone, you're in charge. If it's going bad, you're in control of like what happens from there. You can't let the audience dictate and like under the lights and just crumble. How you decide to be in charge is up to you. You can call it out and be like, that sucked. I'm really struggling tonight. I've done that. It's whatever the situation calls for. Or, you can do another strategy of like, this is awkward, right? And the audience is like, yeah, like, we're going to keep going. Or, I've done that. Or sometimes, just if you really believe in a joke and you want to keep trying it, something that I'll do is I'll be like, there's 70 of you in here right now. All of you are wrong. That was funny. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to give you another chance. Anything you can do to establish that you're in charge and you're present. There's little tricks, whatever, but just, that's the most important part. And then off stage, being honest with yourself and being like, do I really want every set to be me fighting against all my jokes sucking? No, I want my jokes to just be good. So I have to either fix them or write better ones. And that, I would say that's the emotional journey, is not getting off stage. Is like not getting too high, not getting too low. Like when you have really bad sets, it is very easy to be like, I should kill myself. Like I should never speak on a microphone again. I should never speak off a microphone again. Why am I here? And then when you have a great set, it's like, when am I going up at the Comedy Cellar?
Yeah.
Like I belong, like Shane Gillis should be opening for me.
Yeah.
It's easy to like, but I would say both of those are equally as bad.
Yep.
Like it's obviously bad to like get down and depressed. I would say it's just as bad to get like super high, because then you won't, either way, you're kind of dwelling on this outcome that you don't have as much control over. All you have control over is the inputs. So it's like if you can kind of push those towards an equilibrium of kind of like a self-assuredness and a disciplined approach, you'll be a lot better off.
Yeah, and you can continue to put in the work if you're just dwelling on the high and the low. I mean, from what you're telling me, it's so similar to like a sales style career.
For sure.
Because if you have like a huge month, you're like, oh, well, I've got it figured out. And then you're like, why was June and July so trash? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
You got to like really just find a way to just keep putting in the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds like so relatable, but also what's proven to help you through your journey is because you're like, no, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna watch the film. I'm gonna better it. I'm gonna get, that worked. I like it. Let me try it again.
For
and
sure.
I do like the idea of when you're on stage and being like, hold on, we're gonna try that again. Cause I know, and I'm just a consumer of comedy. I'm not a stand-up comic, but from a consumer side, even when people are like bombing, I do love when it's acknowledged and they still continue, like you said, instead of like, oh, it's my first time. Oh, I'm really nervous. Oh, this sucks. Oh, why are you booing? And they panic. It's like, okay, now it's just weird because we're all in this state of mind of like openness. We're open to hear the crazy stuff you have to say or the simple stuff. But if you're not confident in it, then it's just getting weird. And it's like, well, this is like a weird public speaking thing.
Yeah.
But if you like stay locked in and you're like, well, fuck that one. I'm going to go to this one. And then one is going to hit. I mean, I think that personality and that presence, you're saying feet, you're like, be where your feet are.
Yeah.
That's got to be huge because I bet it's so easy to go the other way. It starts sucking and you're just like, get clammy. You're nervous. You're looking at all these eyes. The lights are bright. You're just like.
You just start monologuing. You stop pausing. You're just like, let me barrel through these jokes.
And so credit cards suck, and you start getting into something.
It's painful. I've done it 1,000 times. It's horrible. You try to grow and move past some of those habits. But yeah, I think you got to be in charge is the most important aspect of it. And like you're saying, anybody in any career field that's successful is process focused, like long-term vision. And then in the moment, you just got to make the most of what you have. You got to be present, try your best to execute, and then when it's time to review, be a little more honest in the analysis and just focus on the process of improving.
Yeah, because then you can live with the results more, going back to that Berkshire Hathaway thing. Like,
yeah.
Do I deserve it? Because if you see the results from the work you put in, you're like, I do deserve it. Maybe I'm not at that point. Like you said, there's different levels. Maybe I'm not at the level I want, but I am putting in the work to be at this level. So let me just add in a little more input.
Yeah.
So I love that a lot. As far as the, like where you are now after recording 1,307 sets.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really, really cool. I appreciate it.
A lot of space on the hard drive. We gotta.
How do you feel now when you go up? Are you in a state now where it really is just fun? Even though it's still a career, but like you're more comfy? There's no nerves or what? How do you feel as an established
there's definitely like good nerves. I wish I got nervous more often because I think sometimes, like I remember when I was starting out, I was like, man, I'm really excited like when I won't be so nervous. Now I don't get nervous as often. And, I think that adrenaline can make your mind work faster and can make you a more energetic performer. So I do think I do wish I had some of that. And I've kind of been working on how to summon that a little bit. Yeah, I just have to be more intentional about it now.
And is that like prep before, like making sure you get your mind right that you're about to do something great?
100%. Like just before you go up, be like, all right, it's time to perform. Like you got to really, for me, just get in that mindset of like, I'm performing. You know, even though I've done it 1,000 times, I can just walk up there, grab the mic, and start digging.
Well, because you have the skills, so it's real easy to fall back on that and be like, well, I'll relate it to sales. Like, I've been doing it so long, it would be easy for me to be like, well, I'll just call that person and just start talking. It's like, no, remember the framework. No, that doesn't mean you have a script, but remember what got you here and keeps you here. So let me go through the steps. So I definitely understand the prep work because that means you care about it though. Yeah. And that comes out when you're on stage because you're showing that you care. You're showing you're engaged instead of the person monologuing and they're like, this person doesn't even care to be up here either. Why would I listen?
I do. I also think, like you said, is it fun?
Yeah. Is it fun or is it a job?
Well, I don't make enough for it to be a full-time job yet. So I guess right now it's neither. It is sometimes fun. I want it to be more fun. I think sometimes I analyze it to death and put a lot of pressure on it. So I suck the fun out of it. But I kind of do that with everything. So that's something I have to work on in life.
And people do that a lot when they're great at stuff. Like whether it's comedy or golf or just life or any type of hobby. When they're good at it, sometimes it is hard to still have fun.
Yeah. I think I'm bad at having hobbies. I kind of turn everything. I can only focus on, like, I'm not like a multitasker. Like whatever I'm focusing on, I'm really bought in. But it kind of does poison it. Like it's not as enjoyable anymore. So I do want to have more fun with it. I think that would be great. And sometimes it is fun.
Well, that might be like the chapter you're going into after hitting such a amount of sets is you're like, okay, I put in the work to be like a professional comedian, but let me push into like not storytelling, but enjoying the flow a little bit. Yeah,
I definitely got to get, cause like the people that I'm trying to like catch up to that are like full-time professional comedians, you know, they're working harder than me and they love it more than me and they're having more fun than me. So it's like, if I'm going to catch them, you know, that you can't be like, it can't be like this grind that you're not looking forward to. And like, that's kind of the phase I'm in right now. Like I got to figure out how to enjoy it more, find the parts that I enjoy and maximize those and the parts that I don't look forward to as much. Like, why don't I enjoy those? Because I enjoy the process of becoming great, but certain parts of the grind can get not as fun.
Who are some people you look up to now?
Rory Scovel is my number one favorite comedian. He just had his new Netflix special come out. It's awesome. And I mean, he's like my number one by quite a margin, just like everything he does as a comic. Geoffrey Asmus is probably my number two. And then there's like a bunch of other people that I take like little stuff from.
That you just like.
Yeah.
Like your style.
I love Cat Williams because I think his ability as somebody who's so small in stature to fill the room, because I've seen him live in some of these big arenas, and for someone so small to like fill the room and the way he uses the stage, his physicalities, I think oftentimes, and I don't want to make it a racial thing, this is more of like just an observation. When I see white comics that are like super physical, it's kind of a little more like clown looking, like they're being silly and they're kind of the butt of the joke. Cat Williams is able to use a lot of physicality, and it doesn't look like he's being like I'm a dumbass clown.
Yeah.
You know, he's using all this physicality, but he's still very like self-assured. I think when I was earlier on, like a lot of my act outs, I would be like, look at me, I'm stupid and gay. You know, like that was definitely like my bailout, was like when I was struggling, I would do like gay physicalities or like more feminine gestures, because I knew it'd be like, it's like kind of funny to laugh at like, you know, the loser guy, you know. But like Cat Williams is very physical, but it's not in like I'm like a little sissy boy way. It's very self-assured, and I thought that was a really interesting way in which to look at physicality. So I think over the last few hundred sets, my goal has been like, I do these big act outs, but I don't want them to be like, oh, I hope this is funny, I'm going to look stupid. I want it to be more like, I know this is funny, I'm taking this huge swing, and whether it goes well or not, like I'm going to stand on it. You know,
that ownership. Like you're like, no, you're going to feel this joke. And if you don't laugh, that's on you, but to an extent, obviously, but owning it is a big deal. You're like, no, this shit is funny. And I'm going to like give you all this energy so you get the full picture.
And I think the other part of it is, it's just another skill you have to develop. Like when you're telling jokes, if they're bombing, that hurts and you practice and get better at it. When you're doing these huge act outs, if those are bombing, it is so painful and it's so obvious. Like if you tell a joke that bombs, you can just kind of pause for a second and you can kind of like move on. But I'm just like, I have this big act out I do where I mime myself like failing a deadlift over and over. And the joke is that like when you fail a deadlift and your hamstring spasm, you just start twerking. And so I do this big act out over and over with like a bunch of jokes thrown in, how many times I tried it, what the other people, like what it looks like, what the other people in the gym are saying, what they're doing. And like working on that joke to find how to make that funny is incredibly painful, because you're on stage bouncing your ass around. And it starts out at like little open mics where it's like 6 people who are half listening, and it's humiliating, you know, but eventually, you know, you figure it out. And now it's like one of my stronger bits, and it's an act out that people remember. Like if I do a show on the road and then 8 months later I work with a comic, he's like, dude, I remember, like this happened very recently. So a good example would be like, I did a show in Arkansas, and it was like a showcase house. There were like 7 comics on the show, and I had another spot across town, because I was only in town for one night, so I was trying to do as many as I could. And so then left quickly, didn't get to hang out with the comics. 8 months later, this is just a few weeks ago, Dallas Comedy Club, this comic's like, dude, I remember you. Your deadlift bit is crazy. He's like super funny. He's like, but he's like, it is very bold. He like really, you know, I mean, I don't think it was his favorite bit of all time, you know, but he remembered that it was like this big swing that I was up there taking. So I think that I like that about Cat Williams. I like that about Rory Scovel. I like it about Geoffrey. In their own ways, they're willing to take huge swings. And then I think another comic I really like, to, you know, who I have a lot of respect for, Nikki Glazer.
Yeah.
I think she is at a place in her career where she could definitely be like coasting, because she's doing reality TV now. She's doing higher profile hosting stuff. and she's like grinding harder than ever. Her last 2 specials, I think, are her 2 best. And like, she was very much known as being like kind of like the hot skinny blonde girl that talked about sex. That was like really her thing. Then a couple years ago, her special "Someday You'll Die" was super introspective, super heavy, and still raunchy, still her signature take on stuff. But like for her, I would say like a very brave, you know, because like her career's taken off. She doesn't really have to reinvent the wheel. Just like keep doing what you're doing. And she was talking about like depression and suicide and like heavy shit that she was going through. You know, she's like, I've always wanted to be like the hot girl. Now I'm getting older. My body doesn't look the same. It's humiliating. And I was really impressed. And then so I started following her more closely. Everything she does, she's super prepared for. Mm-hmm. Like when she goes on a podcast, she has studied that podcast and see like, oh, what in your format works really well? I'm coming prepared for that. When she goes on a talk show, she's got bits of, like about the show. She's written jokes for. When she does a roast show or hosts an award show, she's super prepared. She has specific jokes for it. So I'm very impressed with her versatility and work ethic without it being like annoying that she's like, I work super hard. She just does it and just reaps because I always get annoyed when people talk about how hard they work. You know, it's like my thing is, if you work really hard, just work super hard and reap the rewards that the hard work provides. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm talking about all these sets I'm doing. You know, that's, listen, when the rewards start coming in, I'll reap them. They're not there yet. But I'm impressed by Nikki Glaser.
I'm glad you brought her up, though, because I listened to a few of her Theo Vaughn episodes.
Yeah.
They're just gold. They're just so gold. And
she understands what he's trying to do.
Yeah. And I mean, Theo Vaughn, what a blessing to the world. But the Nikki Glaser episodes, it made me more of a fan of her comedy because I like would go listen back to other stuff from just hearing conversation. I was like, damn, she's super funny.
Yes.
And that naturalness and that vulnerability. Because, yeah, you can bring up the sex and stuff, but it's also cool to just be honest. If that came up in conversation or it came up in the set because that's what she was talking about, then that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think the authenticity always speaks. Instead of if you go up there talking about a joke that you have no experience with, then it's like, well, this is kind of funny, but I don't believe him. It's like when I'm watching Kill Tony and they'll say a joke and then he asks them about it and they're like, oh, it's made up. Which isn't terrible because not every joke can be real.
Yeah.
But then when they say like, yeah, my wife left me and did this, this, and this, and then they ask him after if it's true and he's like, yeah, that makes it funnier.
Yeah.
It's like, then you're working through it in this therapeutic way of stand-up comedy.
Yeah, if you can be honest, it's always funnier.
Is that easy or is that something you do or no?
Yes, it's something I do now. I didn't start that way. It's really hard. Just get up there and like, be honest. That's really hard.
Yeah.
And it's like harder to make funny. It's easier to just be like, you know, like hacky shit about like, you know, race or gender or religion or, you know, money, like or sex. Like it's way easier to
I guess there's a mix. You find your mix.
Yeah. And then some people, I would say, even if they're not on, like I think Anthony Jeselnik's really impressive. None of his jokes are true. He's just trying to like write these really dark one-liners, but he doesn't pretend that they're true. So I think it's a little bit different. Dude, he has a joke. I remember because I heard him do this live. I've never heard a joke, like just a one-liner. Make sure I don't butcher it. And it's already on a special. I'm not, you know, ruining anything for you. He says, I walked into a bar. I wanted to get a drink. I go to a bar. I walk in. Only other person in the bar. I look at her. I recognize her. It's my favorite porn star. I couldn't believe it. I go up to the bartender. I'm like, hey, bartender, you see that girl over there? She can't be in here. She's 13. Dude, I saw him tell this joke live, and with his delivery and his pacing, the roof almost came off the room because it's that split second of like,
you're in it.
What the fuck did he just say?
What is it? Oh, she's 30. Oh, fuck.
Yes, yeah. Dude.
That's
it was
perfect.
And it was like he has like an hour of jokes that good. But I just remember being like, wow. What is so impressive about his comedy is it's so offensive. It's easy to offend like one group of people. It's very hard to offend everybody. And his jokes offend everybody. That's very cerebral in my point of view. Yeah. It's very hard to be like universally offensive. You kind of got to know.
Then you're just being aware at that point.
Yeah.
You're just like, no, this is all the fuckery going on. I'm not being offensive. I'm just showing you X, Y, and Z is really dumb.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good joke, though.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he has like hours of that stuff.
It's incredible. Weird that there's there's different forms of comedy that are so funny, like the one-liners or like the stretched out story and the slow pace. It's so weird, or not weird. It's so interesting that
like Ali Sadiq,
one of my favorites.
dude, he's incredible.
Because I'm like, I feel like I'm like listening to an uncle or like a dad or something. You want to listen, and then you're like, he just happens to be funny. But I would say like storytelling is like Ali, but then you can get like the one-liners like you're talking about with your people, and it's crazy that all that is funny. There's no limit on funny, but it's cool that all that can be digestible, I guess.
One thing that you like next time you listen to Ali Sadiq, if you notice, like a lot of comics talk about like laughs per minute, which is I think is a flawed metric. Now at my level, you better be up there. You better be getting some fucking laughs,
right?
But if you're doing an hour, and especially if the people are there to see you, you can like if you notice Ali Sadiq, his laughs per minute aren't that high, but if you pay attention, like when he's talking, he'll be in a 3,000 seat theater. And like I said before, if people are paying attention versus talking amongst themselves, when he pauses, you can hear a pin drop.
It's dead quiet.
People are locked in. To me, that's just as important as getting huge laughs.
Yep.
Because if people are like hanging on every syllable, you're in total command. And so I think that's, and he's very funny, but he understands, he's up there more like playing an instrument. He stretches the silence. He'll set up elements of a story. It all comes together. He's doing, he's still doing comedy, but he's doing it in a totally different way.
And that's that confidence from the reps that you're talking about, because you have to be very confident to be okay with the lower laughs per minute. Mm-hmm. You're like, no, this is my set and this shit is funny, but I'm going to just go through it. And there are some that go up, like, even though Joey Diaz like tells a lot of stories, it's just like rapid fire funny because he's like cocksucker and all this, and it kills you. But the different levels are so interesting. And I find that there's not a discrepancy for my personal consumption of someone that's quick or someone that stretches them out. Yeah. Like I'm enjoying it both. I'm like, and this is funny. Like I'll take it to the Kill Tony stuff. Like there's a guy like William Montgomery that's like just rapid fire reading it. Yeah. But then there may be someone like Ron White that goes up there and it's like a little slower. And I was blessed to see some of them live, and I was like, I like seeing the difference. Yeah. Because everybody's so different. And I bet especially in this community. Yeah,
everybody's got their own style. I would say, at my level, nobody's really like figured out anything, but definitely at the highest level, it's cool. And like you said, everybody has their own taste, but if somebody's really good, there's so many people doing so many different things, and it can all be so funny. It's very impressive. That's cool that you guys see some of those guys a lot.
Oh, man, I got so lucky. So do you know what woofing is?
Woofing.
You probably don't. So. It's not niche, but it kind of is. It's called, I'm not even going to break down the acronym, but basically you can stay at different places around the world and you just work for them in exchange to stay. So like someone will have a horse ranch or a farm in Hawaii, or you can go to New Zealand and work on a vineyard, or, there's all these things, right?
Yeah.
And so my wife helped me choose one in Austin because I wanted to learn more about horses. Because I'd never ridden horses really. The tribe I'm from were like famous horsemen. So I was like, well, you should at least get comfortable. So I find this lady in Austin, go hang out with her. I was walking in Austin, and before I went and met her at the farm, and I was like, well, I should try to do like one of the shows at the mothership. So I found one that said like Brian Simpson and Friends. Yeah. So then I walk down there, it was the day before the show, and Brian's like standing there on the corner.
Oh.
And I was like, well, that's cool, because obviously it's the nucleus.
Yeah.
What I liked is I walked up and was like, hey, I'm coming to your show tomorrow. Like, I'm glad that I get to see you in person, but I appreciate it. Not like anything crazy. But him to just be high as fuck and be like, yeah, bro, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, that was enough for me to like be excited. But then cool. I go, and you don't know who's going to be there because it's just in front, so they can bring whoever. Yeah. So they have some of the open micers that or maybe regulars or whatever you label them as that you've seen. And then it was, in a row, it was Ron White, Tony Hinchcliffe, Joe Rogan, Brian.
Wow.
Back to back.
That's pretty sick.
And they're all four so different. Yeah. So it was hilarious. Like, and then to have the mix of the open mics too. So I got really lucky. And I was by myself. So I was locked in. Like if I went with you, I'd be locked in, but we may talk randomly because we're laughing. I was just sitting there by myself.
It is cool to see, like, anytime you see a comic you've been watching like in person, it is a cool. You're like, holy shit!
Because they're always a little more real because it's one of those they're working shit out.
Yeah,
so they're a little rougher.
Yeah,
like in a good way.
That's cool.
But I was gonna ask you, since obviously you have so much knowledge that you've acquired for your own journey, is writing something that you spend a lot of time on? Is it something where you're just writing like a few thoughts and then you just build it from there? Or are you really technical about like, well, it needs to hit right here? What's that like? Because I know everyone's so different. My
writing process, honestly, is I put a lot of time into it, but I don't feel that I don't feel that I get as much out of it each time as I should. Like some people I feel like are naturally funny. I'm just not. Like it's just harder for me to be funny. So I have to really like work on the shit. I would love to just go there and be like, we're here, man. But yeah, marble table, right? Yeah, like I would love to be that good, but I'm just not that guy. I gotta like really work on it. I would say that because my style is like more expressive, and I would say like I have a much higher percentage of kind of like off the cuff. I'm very present in the room. I have a lot of energy, so I riff a lot. So I'll probably do, it's like 80% planned, 20% riffed, which is, a lot.
And riff is the crowd work side?
Yeah, crowd work or just off the cuff stuff. Crowd work is more like you're asking a question. Like sometimes, like if something happens, I'll just kind of like talk about it. I'll talk about the room, talk about the show, talk about the town, just stuff like that.
Do you like doing that? Is that like a good way to like get in your groove?
Yeah, I find it is, because my style is very much like I'm just up there, really energetically talking. And a lot of my jokes are like pieces of a larger chunk. So I'm not just up there telling like one joke, laugh, thank you, here's next joke. It's more like I'll just kind of introduce a concept and then have a lot of jokes about the concept that kind of build to like the final joke about it to like tie it off. So,
and that's that writing.
Yeah, that's so like if I have a concept I think is funny, and I didn't invent this. Like other great comics do this, and I've.
Are you serious?
No. Yeah. Where you kind of just like say you wanted to write a joke about getting stuck in traffic. Mm-hmm. What you would do, the best place to start is it's easier if you have something to compare it to. So like getting stuff in traffic feels like XYZ. And like comparing two unlike things is the easiest. But if you don't have that great of a comparison, or if you want to like do a personal joke, like say I wanted to talk about, what would be a good one I'm trying to maybe like a recent one. Oh, like I was talking about earlier, I was good in school, but like I wanted to be cool and I was not. So what I'll do is I'll just list out like, what are all the things that I did that are associated with like me being good in school, study habits, behaviors, social circles. And then what are all the assumptions somebody has when I tell them I'm good in school? None of this is like really that funny. You're just kind of like getting traits and ideas. And then what are things that are associated with being like really cool or popular? And then what are assumptions people have about that type of person? And then you just see if any of those like connect, so you start, like one, and so then I'll just start writing jokes. So all a joke is like a setup and a punchline, which is like an expectation and then a subversion of it. So one of the jokes that I wrote was like the only way I can hang out with the cool kids, or like because I was talking about like I wanted to be an athlete. So I was talking about the only way I can hang out with the athletes is if I tutor them. And I told them I'm not going to do this for free. So the guy I was tutoring, he said, "How about I pay you $50 a week?" And I said, "How about when you see me in the hallway, you dab me up?"
Yeah.
And he said, "How about 75?" So that's like a joke you can write.
That's funny.
So it's like you're just
How about
basically
75?
Yeah, you're just writing basically like a fact of the situation. You're painting a picture with a setup, which is like the only way I can hang out with the athletes is if I tutored them. I have an agenda. I told them I wouldn't tutor them for free. So then he said, "How about I pay you $50 a week?" So the first part is the premise. Then the setup is, "How about I pay you $50 a week?" And then the punchline is like, "How about when you see me on, you dab me up?" That's kind of funny. Then the tag, "How about 75?" is even funnier. So it's like, all right, now I've made it worth it to listen to two sentences before we get to the punchline.
Oh, and even with me, like the dab me up, I was like, "That's cool. That's close." Like you can close right there. And then how about 75? It's like, damn.
Yeah, and that's like the real laugh line. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's kind of how you write a joke. So, I mean, I only, because it's just hard for me to write jokes. So I'll probably write like 5 of those. Because, I don't want to spend too much time on something that might suck. So I'll write 5 of those and then I'll hit the mics or a show that night and I'll try it in the middle of my set. And I'll usually do it as like a bullet point where I will have it like, I want to try that specific joke, but I also want to talk through it. So I'll have like a 90-second chunk where I'll put these 5 jokes in there, but with room to like talk through it. Like when I say, how about you dap me up in the hallway? Is there an act out I can throw? Like, how about you dap me up in the hallway? And I can be like, yeah. I show like I'm like this dork that doesn't know how to dap up. And then I can, act out maybe him turning me down. And then I always have like the mindset of one more. Like if I'm at a mic, especially, and I'm experimenting, trying to build a bit, if something gets a laugh, I better say something else because it's like, why would I quit when I'm ahead? If I'm doing a show and you're trying to do good, especially if it's like a big show, experiment less. But if you're at a mic or like a showcase and it's in the middle of your set and you're trying to work on something, if something you say that you're trying to work on hits, I always throw one more line on there. So like last night when I tried that joke, the how about 75 part hit, and it was just like, I'm just doing a mic. So I'm like, okay. So I just said, we settled on $60 and a head nod. And it got like a little laugh. So it's like, okay, now I'm going to go try that tonight and I'm going to see was that audience just kind of bought into that joke? Or with one extra sentence, did I squeeze an extra laugh out of it? So it's like.
Yeah. And then it's like, it just makes it a little more complex in a good way. It's a little deeper because then I laughed 3 different times. It was 2. Even the 3. No, it was 3 because even the setup is funny. How about I pay you $50? The $50 is funny, but the dap up, the 75, and then bringing them right back.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think so. That's kind of what you're trying to do, and then now, pretty much what you do, like you have all this shit, these diagrams, whatever. I just write them in these notebooks. So like this is like my brainstorming notebook, and then I have my joke writing notebook. So I have 2 because it helps me keep it straight. But like,
notebooks are important, man.
Yeah. So then I'll have like all the jokes I want to try for that particular set. And then,
and is that something you have to kind of like read over before you go up there so you're on point, or since you wrote it, you're kind of on it?
I mean, I usually have to read over it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Some people just like know it. I gotta like really, and then if it's a very low stakes mic, this is like, controversial is a strong word, but like some people are really anti notes. Some people are fine with it. If it's like a big show, then no notes. But if it's a mic, my belief is like I'm there to practice, and the thing I want to practice is in here. So I'll bring this on stage. And if I remember it, great. But if I don't remember it, I'm not going to waste my time and just move on when I could easily go, what did I write down? And you can even make it a joke. You can be like, hold on, pause. This is worth it. I promise. And then you try the joke. Cause you're like,
and then it bombs. You're like, I'm tripping.
Like, exactly. Yeah. That, like if it hits, you're like, what did I tell you?
Yeah.
You guys should trust me. And then if it bombs, you're like, oh, that's not what I wrote. Hold on. Or like, oh,
this ain't even my book.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's it say on the front? Number 12?
Oh, because they're all these style of books. So like if I'm looking for a specific set, like I just number them all. So it's like this starts like this one right here. This is set number 1222. So I know this book starts at 1222. And then
what does that say? April or July or January?
This was April 27th. So
damn. So you did like.
So
200
in May,
and something
June,
sets in a couple months.
July. Yeah, I usually average like 30 to 35 a month.
That's a lot.
But 30.
30's good. That's almost daily, but you're not.
I average like 1 a day. It used to be a little more than that, but because I've been working on some other projects, I'll take like a night off every now and then.
Yeah.
So
outside of the joke side, because before I finish that is cool as hell that you have that much attention to detail. Like I love it.
Helps.
Well, like we were comparing it to sales jobs and all those things. The only people that are successful are the people that measure like those KPIs that are like
inputs. You gotta have your KPIs.
So I think that's inspiring, to be honest. And then outside of the joke side, what do you like as far as like the comedy community from the other comics? Do you enjoy that? Because I know a lot of comics are like, well, I love to hang with other comics. Or are you more solo and you just want to be funny?
I'm a little bit like socially challenged. I'm not like the greatest socializer. I do enjoy it. I'm not like naturally great at it. Also, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't really do anything like that.
So it's hard to hang out in the late night environment long term if you're not having a drink or something. She's like, man, I could go write more, or I could go rest, or
yeah, like I could go home and watch anime like that. I'm kind of a dork, so that's like honestly I'm kind of a square. Like I don't really party. I have Coke Zero, but I do love the comedy community, any type of the community. Like it makes it. That's why. And after I say this, I do have to pee real quick, but that's why I think starting comedy is so hard. Like, a lot of people get like real elitist. They're like, oh, I'm like a, feature level comic. Like, you're an open mic, or I don't talk, like, cause I would be what's considered like a road feature, which is like, you still got a long way to go, but it means like, you get booked to comedy clubs, you open for big names, you go on the road a little bit. Like, you get paid to do this, an amount of money that's not inconsequential. Like it's, I only have to work part-time in addition to the comedy stuff. So we got a long way to go, but it's like,
what a blessing though.
Exactly. So it's, all that to say, like to establish, like I'm at like the mid-tier level, but a lot of people in my level will be like really shitty to new comics. I try to not be, because it's so hard to start, because not only are you doing something that's wildly vulnerable, it's super fucking hard and embarrassing, but you don't know anybody there. Double that with everybody else there already knows each other. So at every open mic you go to, whether it's in New York City or Enid, Oklahoma, every other comic there that it's not their first time, they all know each other. They have a comfort level of, if I go up there and I literally shit my pants on stage, me and my buddies are going to go laugh about it in 5 minutes. It'll be over soon. But if you're new and you go up there and you eat a dick, you're like, well, now all these people that I want to be friends with think I fucking suck at this, which you do. You just started. So it's the first time you do it is so hard, because you're bad at the thing and you have no community, and they all already know each other and have inside jokes. So they're not trying to make new friends, because so many people try it once, try it half a dozen times and quit. So it is a little hard to like pour into the new comics when a lot of them just quit. But I always tell people, if you like really want to do it and you can get past that first few dozen times, you'll have made friends. You'll have shown your face at the mics a few times. Everybody will remember you, and nobody cares that you're bad. You're the only one that cares that you're bad. So if you can get past that initial hurdle of how hard the thing is and how hard it is to like start building the community, it gets immeasurably easier. So even though I'm not like king of the hang, where I'm, tying one off every night with the guys and like best friends with everybody, simply because I know everybody, I have like an established level of comfort, as do all the guys that have been doing it a while, where, even if it's not my best bud, I know people there, and after my set, before my set, we can chop it up a little bit. And it's like, there's a comfort level when you know the play, and you know the environments as well. You've been to the building before, you know where to park, you know where to sign up. Or if you're doing a show, you know the producer, you know how much time you're doing, you know what kind of audience you're about to expect. So just like the more you do it, not only do you gain the skill, you gain the comfort of the community. That's why it's so hard to start.
And then it's probably hard to stop once you're addicted.
Yes, it can be really hard to stop. It is a strange, because there have been a couple times where I've taken a couple weeks off because I'm like, man, I got some live shit I got to really handle. Or like I've got a big project that I really got to lock in. And it is a strange, it's like, oh, it's 5:30 and I'm not heading to sign up for this mic. Or it's like, oh, it's Friday at this time and I'm not doing a show. Like this is a weird, so it is different.
I was going to ask you on the journey you've done so far,
and then I got to ask you some stuff.
I know,
because I was going to say I can't just monologue the whole time.
No.
I've been talking a lot.
Well, you've been doing a great job.
That's very kind.
I think you did all right. But no, I see your notes, so I'll let you go too. The last thing I had for you is just what are you looking forward to? What are the things that you're working on, and like not telling me, well, when I get to my special, then I know I made it. But like, what are you looking forward to right now, since you put in a lot of work?
So I have kind of three main, well, obviously you kind of have to break it up into like income and audience building. Like the working on the craft is constant, but in terms of like, what's going to move the career along? Income and audience building, I think, are the two like categories you break it into. I'm focusing more on the income side right now, because the audience building is slow. It takes time. A lot of investment up front. Payoff comes later. like, as you see, I mean, I post on social media fairly often. That will have to be ramped up a million times. But on the money-making side, I have a lot of clean material, and this guy that is based in Dallas has a lot of clean material. We do some clean shows together. We've been on the road a little bit. We're actually being a little more proactive. We're putting together like a run of shows over the next few months, just like 1 week a month, going on the road together to like smaller towns, doing clean comedy shows that we produce. Because we've seen that there's like an upside if you can handle the entire production process. And we both produced a lot of shows and done it in other markets. So we kind of know what's involved, from the market selection to venue negotiation to marketing the show to the profitability of it. So I'm really excited about that, because I think that could be like another valuable pillar in the income side of things. The other pillar in the income side of things is like where the money comes from a lot is corporate work, especially because I have a lot of clean material. I also have like golf experience. So I've started to write more golf jokes, and I've started pitching country clubs on doing like a activation event or just like a member engagement event. Like, hey, pay me to come out and we'll do a comedy night. It's clean and golf adjacent. So pay me to come perform there. And then at those events, a lot of people who play country clubs either work for nice companies or own their own small business. I'll get paid to be there. And at the very end of it, my pitch is going to be, hey, if you liked what you saw, I'm clean. I host events. I also do team building workshops like that I've developed. Here's my business card. Let's get in touch. So it's like those are my 3 pillars of income that I've been developing over this year that I think are close to bearing more fruit. And then on the content side of things, I'm friends with the guy who does YouTube full time. So I brainstorm a lot with him. He shares a lot of wisdom. And, I've been doing the short form, but there's just not as much money in that. And it's very competitive and fleeting. It doesn't really translate to ticket sales, but long form YouTube still does. So I'm going to reinvest more time into making long form YouTube videos this fall and just see, I mean, obviously it will not be like massively successful in a 6-month time frame, but just see if there's any sort of needle movement that indicates that could be an area to explore more. Like I think I'm going to make like a dozen long form videos, see how they do, and then see how feasible it is to make these going forward. And then the last area is I run, like in addition to stand up, I run my own concept show, Comedic Confessions, which is like an interactive talk show. Done it a lot in OKC. This summer we've been doing it on the road, and I'm trying to get a more permanent home for it in Oklahoma City, because it's really fun. And it's like when you do stand up, especially if you headline and do a long set, that crowd has now seen your jokes. So you got to wait till you come back there. But this show is evergreen. I host it and I interview, like, you know how on talk shows, you're mostly interviewing celebrities. I interview local people who are telling their best story. And I have like a panel of comics. We all interview and riff and banter with them, because if they're not professional comics, they don't know how to tell the story. But we'll help them get to the funny part. And then at the end, somebody wins like best story of the night. And we do different themes. And I have different guests on the show with me.
And then streamed also, or no?
I live tape it and I upload the episode in clips. It's not live stream, but I tape it.
Right. No,
and I want to do that. I want to do more of the live tapings, because now that I've got the format a little ironed out, the last 6 or 7 we've done like tapings of, and I want to invest more in that. I don't know how high on the priority list that is, because it takes such a great time investment, and working with the venues to try to find a permanent home for it has been so damn hard that I don't want to abandon it forever, because it's been a successful concept. People are, it's one of the few things I've done that people seek me out and they're like, when's the next one? That was so fun. So it's like we have market indicators that there's demand for it. We sell a lot of tickets to it, but it's just very hard to do. So that's a thing I want to keep pursuing, but I don't know where it fits into the rest of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, shit, let's roll into what you got for me.
Dude, I wanted to ask about real estate.
Oh, we're done. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So, real estate. And these are more like philosophical questions.
Okay.
But I would just be super curious, like how... This is more stuff I'm curious about. Like,
well, I love this.
Comedy,
You're
this
fine.
Is kind of my...
Yeah.
Is, like, you seem to be a very, like, worldly, deep-thinking, like, socially aware, introspective person, but I know in real estate there's a lot of people that are just like super money motivated, hyper capitalist. How do you balance kind of what you believe and do and that lifestyle? Like, or is there a balance? Are you just like all about the money, or all about, you know, what's your personal philosophy on it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I tell the story all the time. I think I just told it like 2 episodes ago. So I'm sorry.
Oh, perfect.
But one of the biggest moments for me in my real estate career is when I stopped working new construction, quit my job, started working as a realtor and an investor, and I would go to investor meetups. And that's where you meet other investors that are selling deals or buying deals, or that's how you do it. It's like what you're talking about with the networking. And there were 2 guys there, and they were like, well, how are you so successful? Because I just got done with new construction, but that's kind of how I built my name, was about 2 years at Roush Coleman and Home Creations, which are home builders you would know. And I became successful at selling their product. But then when I quit and then I was getting in this other realm, they would ask me like, you know, how are you doing it? Blah, blah, blah. So those 2 guys, they asked me what's something kind of a similar question. And I said, when I stopped thinking of the money I was going to make from the deal and just focused on like the solution, helping the people out, creating the relationship, then my pipeline started to fill more, because real estate is all about pipeline. Because you can have a huge month. There's people that make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a month, but you can have a great month, a 5K month, 10K month, whatever that number is. But if you don't have a pipeline, then it dries up quick. So in new construction, I got so many no's, because you're basically not a car salesman, but you're basically at a car lot where they come and look at just what you have to offer. And if you can't convince them on one of those, they're gone.
Yeah.
But when I was able to spend time with people and really build a relationship, even if it didn't work out with them then, I've been able to help them on this other side of the business since I quit that job and did it for myself. I was able to build more rapport. I was able to close more deals, and I was able to fill the pipeline. So the biggest thing I focus on is solution-based and relationship selling. So I just focus on building a relationship. I'm very personable. I didn't know that was a gift of mine, but as I've matured in this business and with the podcast and things like that, I'm very good at making people open up, even if they don't feel like they want to. And so I just focus on that, build a good foundation, see what type of issues they're going through, and then build solutions based on that, and then just come through with what I'm talking about. And that's been a way to really grow over the years, in addition to just believing in putting in the daily steps.
Yeah.
But thinking of just the dollar amount has never worked. There's amounts that I want to make, but not any day or month am I thinking, I got to get Scott under contract today so I can survive. It's just like, just do the thing, just show up to the appointment, meet the person, or call them on the phone, build the rapport, try to get the deal, like call the investor, try to get a deal. Like, it's just do the things. Yeah. And that's been the biggest game changer for me. And that I've been working for myself and with this investment company in the brokerage Copper Creek that I'm at, or the broker of Copper Creek, since 2019. So I've been with kind of the same guys.
You've kind of built your team a little bit.
Yeah, I've been with the same guys ever since I started real estate. But even when I quit Home Creations and got into this field, it's the same guys. Gotcha. So I've had the same people around me, the same morals, the same culture, the same expectations, and it's always been based on the relationship and just like having genuine time with folks, because not every time is it going to be a business deal. But there was one that I had a listing and it wasn't working. We had to take it off the market, and then 2 weeks later I was turkey hunting at his house with my friend that bird hunts. Yeah. He's like, you can still come out here. The house just didn't work.
Whoa, that's cool.
And that just wouldn't happen without building a relationship. Because obviously they weren't happy. It wasn't working. They're going to hold on to the house, do something else. But yeah, you can come out on Saturday and hunt in the back 40 if you want.
That's really cool.
So long answer to just say relationships. Yeah. And the money will come. My best months are from the more time I spend with people building the relationship. Gotcha. It's not from, can I make $20,000 on this one deal? Because it's probably going to fall through.
Yeah.
So.
That's very interesting. So the focus on the relationships is actually, and taking the focus off of just pure money has actually led to an increase in both the relationships and money.
Yes.
Interesting.
100%.
Interesting. I wonder, and you can tell me if this is an inappropriate question. Well, actually, I have either a more in the weeds financial question or a more philosophical.
You can ask both,
question.
But finish what you're saying now.
So my question was going to be, because you're Native American, right? Mm-hmm. I know in Native culture, there's a much more special relationship with the land, especially this land. Mm-hmm. Do you ever feel any type of way about selling the land or transaction on the land, does it ever cross into like a spiritual realm, or do you ever look at maybe the tribe that used to own the land and feel a certain type of way about certain type of people buying it? Or are those kind of two separate, like you have your beliefs and your culture and you have the like real estate and money side of it?
Yeah, that makes sense. I just try to live on my virtues with every transaction. I haven't got presented that opportunity a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'll work through it when the time comes. But I did look at some land trying to buy that was original. I'm Comanche and Caddo, and some of the land, or the 2 acres that she was trying to sell, was allotment land that they were given when they were put on a reservation. So that was interesting for me. They ended up not wanting to sell it to me and keep it in the family, but being native was a big step that made them want to talk to me.
Yeah.
But I haven't really had an experience of like, I'm on this Cherokee land and this huge corporation wants to buy it, and I'm like, this isn't right, but there's a lot of money. I haven't experienced that. But I try to just be real. I just try to be honest. And if an opportunity came where I was sitting there in a tough situation, I'd probably just choose the way I felt.
Yeah.
As far as like, well, what
kind of more case by case.
Like what makes me feel okay with this? Because I'm big on wanting to be able to sleep at night, take it easy, and live with my decisions. And does that mean I haven't had like uncomfortable transactions? Not really based on the native side, but just with relationships.
For sure.
Yeah, I've had some tough conversations, even with people I really care about. And, you know, if they're listening to this, maybe they would know who I'm talking about. But there's been some really tough situations, and it didn't work out the way it was supposed to for either of us, but it's stuff that had to be done. Yeah. So I just try to be a good person, try to treat everybody the same level of respect, and just focus on the steps. But I haven't dealt with that specific thing. And that's a great question, but I haven't really dealt with that certain situation.
But it does sound like you have kind of a framework from which you operate that would help you handle, whether it be that situation or any type of moral versus business situation. I'm always kind of fascinated by where those intersect, because I've just seen a lot of people because it is kind of a turning point where when you're faced with that, you know, some people choose money, some people choose kind of like their morals. There is no like one size fits all, but I'm always fascinated by people's framework from which they evaluate it.
Yeah, and I just think if everyone's in agreement, then that's the deal.
Yeah.
So if I was dealing with like a native tribe that wanted to sell it to a corporation, if the details made sense for everyone involved and we were able to come to an agreement, then that's the agreement.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I really do focus a lot on those are the decisions that were made. We're using that as an example, but I've been in other ones where they're like, man, I don't really want to sell my house, but I have to. And I'm like, I'm not trying to force you to sell your house.
Yeah.
You need X amount of money. We can do it. If you want to do it, let's do it. If you don't and you want to hold on to it and it keeps getting destroyed and all these things, I don't say that, but I'm just like, I let them go. Like, if you want to hold on to the problem, you can. Mm-hmm. You are looking for a solution. We have one. Even though it's not comfortable because your family owned that property for 82 years. Yeah. It's the decision you wanted to make. Do you want to make it? And if they do, then that's their decision. Everyone's a grown up. So I kind of try to take my emotion out too.
Not like an advisor. You're kind of saying like, what's your situation? And let me use my expertise to find you options that you could take if you wanted.
Yeah, and that's at every level. Gotcha. Investing, being a realtor, whatever. I try to be real with folks and let them make the decision that they're comfortable making. Gotcha. I've never been the salesman to be like, come on, you got to sign today. I don't operate that way. There are times that I probably should have, or if I missed an opportunity because I wasn't aggressive enough or something, but I've always just tried to build a relationship, be calm, talk to people in a normal speed. Now, does that mean that sometimes I'm going through the jargon and like giving them a lot of info? Yes. But I try to be complete, concise, and just upfront. Yeah. And even when they bring up something that like maybe some people would roll over, like they're like, well, what if this happens? And I'm like, well, that never happens. If it has happened, if they bring up some type of situation that can make a deal fall through, and it has happened with me, I'll just bring it up. Yeah. Like, yeah, so this has happened to me before, and it's a possibility, but I don't expect it with our situation. And if it does, we'll work through it.
I think that it shows a lot more confidence than being like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. I got this.
That never does. I'm perfect. Like, no.
I think it actually builds trust when you say like, here are kind of the ways it could go wrong, and here's my experience with each of those ways. To me, that's a lot more trustworthy.
Yeah, for sure.
The last question I had was more of like in the financial detail side.
Okay.
Obviously, you're like in the real estate world. This is from outside looking in. Mm-hmm. Is the real estate market, would you say, more like I would classify like as a dependent market, because it seems very contingent on all facets of it and throughout the pipeline of it, either from like the commercial side, the investor side, the residential side, on the broader interest rate market and like cost of capital, does that affect pretty much the entire whole outlook of everybody, or are there pockets of it that, independent of cost of capital, just go? Like, because I know right now with elevated interest rates, I'm assuming deal flow is probably slower, probably harder to get approved for a loan, harder to make the numbers work. Like if your main, cost is your loan repayment, and you have like I'm trying to think. Like I've known guys who would do like a 20-year amortization loan with like a 5-year balloon, and if it's like a 7.5% loan, that is a huge payment that they're going to have to try to refinance in 5 years. And so like if they're looking at an investment property, it doesn't work when same tenant, same rent, same homeowners property taxes, CapEx. If it was like a 4.5% interest rate, the deal works.
Yeah.
So it seems like are there a lot of factors that are kind of outside the participant's control when it comes to real estate? Or is that just like an outside view looking in, and there's actually a lot more ways you can do it? I'm kind of curious about that.
Well, there's a lot more ways you can do it, but that is like a fact. I mean, interest rates dictate a lot. Now, I will say there are people that I'm connected with through my business that are smarter than me in those analytical sides. I've always focused on being more on the relationship side, even though I do look at the numbers. Like, okay, 11%, we're going to pay X amount a month. What can we rent it for? Like, I do look at those things, and they do have a huge factor. Like, if the interest rates are high on a realtor perspective, then maybe people that you're trying to help buy homes aren't buying as much. But if the interest rates are low, maybe they are buying a lot. And maybe people are wanting to sell their house so they can get into something else. Like when I bought my house right before COVID, like it was like a 3% something interest rate, which now they're like 6%. But at the time, the 3 that I got was even a little high.
Okay.
Like at the time, people that I was helping that had better situations than me, because I was being a realtor too, they were all in the 2s.
Whoa.
I was the one in the 3s, and I was like, oh, that's a little high. But it's all relative. But yes, there are a lot of factors. Like the guy I'm partnered with, a local guy, buys houses, the investment company I work with, he like gives me a market update. We talk about like specifics. It's not really my niche, but it is super important to like the overall building of real estate, whether it's me helping someone buy or sell their property, or if it's properties I'm buying and selling myself, or if it's connecting with lenders that are giving me the money to flip property or getting them paid back in a timely manner. Like all those interest rates matter. But something you said that's very important is no matter what market you're in, there's some way to monetize something, whether it's renting it long term, whether it's flipping it, whether it's making sure to buy it at a low enough price that if all hell breaks loose that you have options. So it's kind of a mixture of all. But that's a great question, and that's like a very smart way to look at it. So
it sounds like the interest rates are definitely like a big factor, but it's not like the dominant factor that I maybe thought it was. Well, there's like a lot of ways you can do things. It is
per strategy though. Like if the interest rate is high, then maybe a certain strategy of renting a property long term doesn't really make sense because you're paying X% and market rent's $1,500, but you'd be at $1,480.
Oh yeah, you're like in real trouble. Yeah,
unless you're in a position where you do have so much money that you need to just deploy it, whether it's for tax reasons or you're like, I'm playing the long game. I've got $1 million I got to spend tomorrow, and I'll just hold them for 20 years and sell them then.
Yeah.
So there's so many levels.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it that maybe you can not necessarily circumvent the interest rates, but work within different strategies, and you're not just beholden to that. That's very interesting. Yeah.
That's why it's good to have multiple tools in your tool belt.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Is there anything, and then I'll let you go, is there anything that you would tell like the average uneducated real estate person, whether they're like just renting an apartment or looking to buy a house, that you think is like very valuable for somebody to know if they're in the market for a living situation that maybe they wouldn't know off the top of their head or they're not, thinking about?
So if you're investing in real estate, you want to buy in areas that'll have for appreciation. Oklahoma appreciates pretty well anyway. But if you're investing, you want to know your numbers of what you could sell the property for or rent it for. Mm-hmm. You want to know your rehab budget that you're going to have to put into it. You want to calculate your holding costs of while you're doing the project, how much you're spending per month on the interest-only payment you're paying your private money guy, your utilities, your contractors, all those things. On the realtor side, to where like the normal consumer wanting to buy or sell their house that I help people do all the time, that I don't always necessarily think that you should just wait for things to be perfect. I think if you're in a position where you can afford a different house and you want a different house, and even if it's a little outside of your parameters, I think action is important with those. And if they're like, well, it's a buyer's market right now, so I shouldn't even sell my home. It's like, yeah, but do you need to sell your home? So I think it comes down to like what the goal is.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should necessarily be like, well, interest rates are high right now. I'm not going to sell my house right now. I'm going to wait for them to go down. It's like, well, what if they don't?
Yeah.
Or if it's vice versa and you're like, interest rates are low, but I really want them to be higher. So for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people paralyze themselves on the consumer side.
Gotcha.
Because they're like, well, I'm just not ready. It's like, yeah, but you figure out a way to make it work while you're renting a house for 10 years.
Yeah.
You'll figure out a way to make it purchase. Now, is purchase always the answer? No. Like if I lived in a huge major city and I only planned to be there X amount of time, I'd just rent.
Yeah.
Or if I was traveling the world, then I would just get like small subleases for 3 months at a time. I wouldn't buy something everywhere I go.
Yeah.
But like somewhere like Oklahoma, where it's not easy, but it's possible to buy a property at various levels. Yeah, if you're going to be here for a good amount of years, buy a house that you like, stay in it. And then when you do get to 5, 10, 15 years down the line and you're ready to move because your comedy career is blowing up,
Yeah.
like then you sell it, make 50, 60 grand or more. Now you got a nest egg. So like that's something I think about. I bought my personal home in 2019. I'm trying to build a rental portfolio and doing flips and all this stuff now. But when the time is right, I'll be able to have my income from what I've built and then either rent out the house I've owned all these years or sell it and get a piggy bank.
Yeah.
You know, you own it for X amount of years. What if I make 80 grand on it? Okay, well, that might be 2 years traveling.
Yeah.
You know, so
true.
it brings options.
Yeah.
And you're not going to build equity just renting. But if you're in a position where renting makes sense, then yes, I understand it. But like for yourself, if you're going to be here for a while and you find a good deal on a house, then it's like, well, let me just buy it. Because even if I'm only there 5 years, I'm going to be able to sell it for more than I bought it for.
Yeah.
Even if you're only in it for 3 or 4 years, you probably could.
I wonder, and then, because I got to get to my shows and I'm sure you got stuff to do as well. Okay.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I got a guy
question.
that's coming by next. Not for the podcast, but a business thing.
Oh, what time is he coming?
I think he's probably calling me, but I turned my phone off because my
Oh,
alarm's
well, yeah,
going.
then
He's right there. He can just wait. We're good, bro.
You
Finish
sure?
it.
Yeah. Well, let him know because I don't want to hold you up. Let him know that you're.
I love this. See,
Yeah.
this is why I told you the podcast is so real.
Yeah.
You had to piss. I got to text somebody.
Yeah, definitely let you. I don't want to interrupt your business. We're just hanging out.
No, but this has been amazing, and I think you are super smart, and I really love the questions that you ask, and the fact that you have stuff for me is super cool.
Well, I got one more.
That's fine.
And then after, but I do want you to take care of your.
Yeah, let me just text him and tell him to wait. Just
your livelihood. 5 minutes tops.
It's
Hopefully
another
2 minutes.
networking that you're talking about, you know?
Oh, perfect. I'll wave at him out the window.
Hey, I think I see you. Just hold up. We're finishing up, and I'll come grab you. Yeah. So for the listeners, you can work and play.
There we go.
All right, go ahead.
Last question. This is more philosophical. And again, I'm just very curious. So,
Please.
in terms of being both like a real estate investor and somebody, I feel like we're close to the same age, as like a participant in the modern economy where like cost of living, especially cost of housing, is high.
Mm-hmm.
As an investor, you want your properties to appreciate, especially above the inflation rate and competitive to other investments. But as like a human, does that feel morally right? And do you think like housing costs should even appreciate at that level? Because I think it's a very interesting quandary of like, hey, if I buy a house, I want it to go up in value. But if real estate goes up in value, that means the people who want to own a home, it's even harder for them to buy, especially if appreciation is outpacing inflation and wage growth. So I wonder, like, does that ever weigh on your mind? Because that's something I think about.
I think in simple terms, because basically you're asking if like me buying investment properties and renting them and them inflating in price, knowing that there's people that can't afford it, does that affect me?
Not you personally. I mean, like in general, like the idea of real estate being an investment. Not just for you. I'm just talking in general.
Right.
Like, I think it's a very interesting, I don't have an answer for it, but I think it's an interesting question.
I would think that everything is owned in some fashion. And even if you're going to Target, you're paying a markup.
Yeah.
So I think that's just facts. Is that like if you're going to rent a house, there's someone that owns it and you're paying them.
Yeah.
If I'm flipping a house, the benefit is I'm buying a house that's beat up in a neighborhood. I'm fixing it up. And then there's a family of 4 that's going to build all their memories of riding their bike, playing basketball in the yard, having family cookouts at a property that would have just went sold to the city because it's dilapidated or there's druggies or squatters or whatever.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think it's a service. And should I get paid for my time of putting in that much work? Yes.
Gotcha.
So I think real estate in general is a benefit. Now, when you see those things where there's like big cities and there's 80% vacant apartments because they're all Airbnbs, like that is tough. And I don't know how to unpack that.
Yeah.
But from a general like real estate investing thought process, there's people that rent houses. There's people that buy houses. If that's what I do for a living, I should be able to monetize off of that.
Yeah.
If that helps. I don't know. It
It
doesn't feel
like,
morally wrong.
No, and I wasn't trying to make it sound that way.
No, I'm just trying to answer it.
It sounds like, as with anything, there is a spectrum of like how to do it ethically and how to do it unethically.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to buy a house and it be a piece of shit and I force someone to pay top dollar for it.
Yeah. It's kind of like with healthcare. Like I think about some of those big questions in healthcare a lot. Like you definitely need these super well-funded pharmaceutical research institutes that are willing to sink years and hundreds of millions of dollars into developing medicine. But then it also sucks when it costs them $2 to make it and they make you pay $500 for it.
Yep.
So there has to be like an in-between. And it sounds like the way you practice your business is like you're providing a service. And I think it's like you said with anything, everything's always going to be owned or monetized in some way. You know, we have to participate in it as living creatures. And we, like you said, within your framework based on relationships, we have the power to choose how we participate. I think that's kind of the takeaway.
Yeah, and I just happen to be in an ownership role of one piece, you know? Because I don't own the OnQ that makes all the money off us every week, you know?
Yeah, that's true. It's very interesting.
But there's this piece of real estate that I own and that 4 families live in or something, you know? Like, it's just, I think, like I said earlier, people are adults, and if we come to an agreement that makes sense for everybody on terms, and those are the terms.
Yeah.
And I kind of, even though I'm a super emotional guy that cares a lot, just take the emotion out a little bit because there's an agreement.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Dude, it makes a lot of sense. This has been really fun. Thank you for your time. And I got to learn a little more about real estate because I always think the way money moves is fascinating. So I love knowing all the different facets of it. And
you seem like one of those people that are smarter than me in that aspect where you can pay attention to those type of details. But no, to circle back, like to hear about your comedy story, the attention to detail, the treating it like a business, and then just the energy you brought in the room today, I am super thankful for you even wanting to be open with me and tell me your story.
I'm grateful.
And then to have stuff, for sure. And then to have stuff for me is amazing because I don't get that all the time. So I look forward to the next time we connect. I look forward to having you on in the future when you're telling me about your new show coming out or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I hope you had a good time. I'm glad we got to meet. And if you ever need anything from me real estate wise, I'd love to connect.
Dude, absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, man. This was a great time.